pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to all visitors. Go to the approval of the minutes of the last meeting.
Make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of July 12th, 2021.
I'll support. Moved and supported to approve the minutes of the July 12th, 2021 meeting. Are there any corrections, questions? And if not, you can call the roll, Lisa.
Mike,
Yes.
Barb, yes, Jerry,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes. Minutes approved. Discussion action item, appointment of village administrator as village representative to the Region 2 Planning Commission.
make a motion, we approve the village administrator Danielle Gross as the Village of Blissfield's representative to Region 2 Planning Commission.
Support.
Moved and supported to appoint village administrator Danielle Gross as the Village of Blissfield's representative for Region 2 Planning Commission. Any comments or questions? If not, you can call the roll, Lisa.
James,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Barb, yes, Mike,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes. Motion carried. Next action item is appointment of village administrator as village representative to Illinois Now. I had a discussion earlier with Danielle, and Heather, our community services director, has primarily been working with Illinois Now. And I thought that it would be appropriate to appoint her as our representative for Illinois Now. And just wanted to know what you guys thought.
I would agree. I mean, Heather's our economic development person in the village. And she's already got a rapport with them. I would agree with that.
Okay.
There's no reason for Danielle not to attend these meetings either, right? You can still
That's
attend.
true.
And I would definitely intend to do that, just to help Heather, to help the village move forward with different projects and things, so. But I do agree with all of you that Heather is a good fit for that role.
So then we have a recommended motion.
So I move to appoint Director of Community Services Heather Marks as the Village of Blissfield's representative for Lenawee Now. Support.
Moved and supported to appoint community services director Heather Marks as Village of Blissfield's representative for Illinois Now. Any comments or questions? You can call the roll, Lisa.
Barb, yes, Jerry,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes, motion carried. Action item 3 is appointment of village administrator as village representative to the River Raisin Watershed Council.
I'll make a motion that we appoint village administrator Danielle Gross as the representative to the River Raisin Watershed Council.
Support.
Supported to appoint village administrator Danielle Gross as village representative to the River Raisin Watershed Council. Any comments or questions? Now you can call the roll, Lisa.
Mike,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Barb, yes, Bob,
Yes, motion carried. Action item number 4, resolution designating Village of Blissfield Act 51 street administrator.
So I move to appoint village administrator Danielle Gross as the street administrator.
Support.
Moved and supported to appoint village administrator Danielle Gross as a street administrator. Any comments or questions? If not, you can call the roll, Lisa.
Jerry,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Barb, yes, James,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes. Motion carried. Next action item is approval of payment wastewater treatment plant improvement project.
Honorable President and Council, so I do have before you guys a pay request from LaSalle, our contractor for the wastewater treatment plant upgrades. After retaining 5%, they're requesting $424,379.78. Our engineers, Pogemeyer, have reviewed this. It will be submitted to USDA for payment. Release of payment before this is processed, and the just really quick too, while we're on the payment, the wastewater treatment plant upgrades are moving forward. We have had some delays with pipe not coming in just due to national problems getting materials. So the contractor has kind of rescheduled within their time frame. They're still expecting to meet their end deadline, just rearrange the internal schedule within that. So if you guys have questions though, I will try to answer them.
Is there any questions?
It was pretty well.
I'll make a motion to approve in connection with the Village Blissfield wastewater treatment plant upgrade project. Contractor application for payment number 4 from LaSalle Group Incorporated, dated June 30th, 2021. On contract number 123-700-00011 for construction services in the gross amount of $446,715.56, with a net payment amount due after retainage of $424,379.78, and to authorize the village administrator to execute all necessary documents relating to this payment and to submit the same to USDA Rural Development Agency.
I'll support. There's motion to move. Motion made and supported. Are there any other questions? You can call the roll on the motion as presented, Lisa.
Barb, yes, Mike,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes. The motion carried. Action item number 6, request for consideration for a 314 Pearl Street utility bill.
Honorable President and Council, this item is brought back to you from the last meeting where it was postponed pending legal opinion. I have talked to Phil, who is also, I believe, on via Zoom, to answer any questions that you have. Unfortunately, we are faced with the following our ordinances or the law. We don't have the authority to go outside of that. The only other option for the council would be to amend our current ordinances to allow for some sort of help with the utility bills or whatever it is council chooses that to look like. Again, I would defer to Phil for any legal questions, but if you guys have questions for us, we'll try to answer. And I know that Mr. Engel is here. I did talk to Mrs. Gilliam, but I'm not sure if she was going to be able to make it or not.
Do you have any questions for Phil? It's pretty straightforward. Ordinance Yeah, a question, Mr. Yeah, go ahead.
Just as we discussed in the last 3 visits, and I appreciate you looking at this, and it's a thankless situation. However, I would concur with your ordinance also, not asking for free service. If I came in here and I gave you $1, I paid for that service. It's not me, it's just this item that we have before us. This board has the authority to deal with this. You don't have to scrap the whole system to start over. Your attorney can give you counsel, but he's not the law. I understand it. I totally respect that. I'm not asking for free. I'm not asking you to go against your ordinance. As if you'll look at, and again, not to reiterate everything, 15 times you broke your own ordinance on this water. It was not shut off on February and January of 2020. And then after that, according to State of Michigan Executive Order 2020-28, yes, no shutoffs. In that ordinance and in that executive order, it stood for occupied dwellings and commercial and industrial buildings only, not a non-occupied position like this was tagged by your own building department as non-occupiable, no permits were ever pulled to start the renovation. So it sits vacant. 16 months. I don't know what happened to 360,000 gallons of water. My recommendation, if I may, I'm looking down at it and I concur, okay, let's just say that much water went through, and I don't know where it went, if it evaporated or where, regardless. I came up with for April of 2020 and for May of 2020, $116.06. Those fees, those things, at that point now she's 2 months behind again. Yes, COVID, but doesn't cover non-occupied dwellings. Should have been shut off at the street. Had that happened, we'd be a moot point. There'd been 0 chances of any water going through there. But let's just say that now, fast forward 12 months, and $2,156.60 of water goes through that meter. I concur. I'll say, let's just say that happened. If you take those 2 numbers, I'm up to $2,272.73, of which $755.44 has already been applied to taxes, which will be paid at closing or whatever. That's a guarantee. Now try and get that back from county records and all that kind of stuff. Good luck. It's already there, but it's part of the water bill. I'm stating right now, $1,517.29 plus the $755.44. Again, coming to $2,272.73. I'll be willing to write a check. Get this taken care of. This is not free service. This is way above and beyond what free service is. Free service is, dare I say, 0. That would be free.
So going back to that, the property owner did have the option to have the water shut off. Brandon talked to her a year and a half ago.
She did have the option to have the water shut off.
Right.
I'm sure I told her because she came in when the wash is taking the bill.
Correct.
And it says, there's 2 days she'll do it, you'll get your water shut off and the meter comes. And she's like, no, about.
November, and I'm listening, I understand. November of 2019, when the fire happened, they asked it to be left on until they could decide what they were doing. When she came in and paid it in December, she said, I want it turned off. According to her information and knowledge, there's a misunderstanding of the amount of steps that you have to do in Blissfield to get the water shut off. When I say the word shut off in any other community I've ever been in my 62 years, they turn it off at the street. I understand that. I understand it now because it's 2020. She never got a bill, but then she's got all her mail forwarded. She hears of a bill, comes in and pays March, asks again, will you turn it off? She doesn't remember the 5 steps, 10, whatever. It didn't get shut off. It didn't get shut off, but It should have been shut off at the street by the city for January and February, because now it's 2 months behind. Never got shut off. Had she come in with the water shut off, I think a new conversation would have taken place. Your water's already shut off at the street, but now there's a shut off service or there's a turn on service, whatever that I don't know. So now that we're past that, April, May, now she's 2 months behind again. Yes, it is COVID, but that executive order is for occupied dwellings, not a non-occupied, not a house that's never going back to, nothing. It should have been shut off in May, June, July, August. So you get what I'm saying? It should have been shut off 12 other times. It did get shut off at the street because 360,000 gallons of water went through a meter. Now, I'm just asking, I'm not trying to revoke or what gives the city authority to turn the water off just because it's running? And I'm not being funny, I'm glad you did. Or this would have been, the national debt, which is in the, you know where that's at. It should have been shut off at the street. This would have never happened. Her recollection, she didn't get that. When I came in on July the 9th, because Brandon was trying to get a hold of Leanne and she wanted to be here. She got called in for infusion. She's on a standby list. She's on the liver transplant list. She has to go when they call. When I came in, because she said he wanted to talk to her, I came into the village. He said to me verbatim, the DPW wants to take the meter and test it. That's what he told me. He said it's $35. That's what he told me. The homeowner has to fill out this form. I took it to the homeowner, drove all the way out to their house. She filled it out, signed it. I brought it back on Monday, the 12th. And I came in on Monday, the 12th. I handed it to Holly, and she said, that's $31.50. Are you taking the meter out, or is your plumber? So I was told DPW wanted this taken out and tested. She went to the phone, made a phone call. She said, can you be there in 10 minutes? I said, yes. I went over, they took it out. 2 gentlemen from here took it out. Done. Turned off, fine. Came back here because I received a voicemail from the interim administrator. When I came in here, you know how wide this desk is? That's how close he was to me. He looked me straight in the eye and says, you are not on the agenda tonight. We have no room for you on the agenda tonight. You will not be on the agenda tonight. He said that to me 3 times. And he had left me a voicemail stating the same thing. What does all that mean? It don't mean nothing. Right here, right now. What it means is I was on the agenda, and that's why I had to apologize, because I thought I had to be a visitor last time. There's some misunderstandings, miscommunication. That's human nature. I'm willing to let the past be the past. I understand that too. Right now, I'm willing. This is not Leanne's money. This is not Aaron's money. I want to make this happen to help the city, to help the property go forward, to not turn it into a vacant lot. And then how much taxes are you going to get for the next 30 years? That's not a threat. It's just a talking point saying, we can get this done. You have the authority to do this.
I want to add something. There were the big that I just specifically asked him to want to have the meter today and have the water shut off. So you guys will get a payment involved. And I will be a permit of 31 I clarified that with that's what the procedure is. They have to follow permits and have the meter off. And I said the DPW guys want to go out for the meter and have it tested. And then a question came up about having the meter up. And I said, do you want to have the meter up? And that's where the 3150 came from.
I concur, and I believe, and you guys know where I'm going with this. It's just a misunderstanding. I was told 35, but just out of courtesy, no problem, take care of it. The fact that I never asked for it, DPW said they wanted to take it out and they wanted to test it. I even told this council last time, I'll pay the $10. that's in here also. I'll pay that $10, because whatever, it's a moot point in the event that we're gonna keep doing this. This is, again, I believe and I concur, this is not free service, and you have the authority to do something about this.
Brandon, what's the $1,247.96? Was that just ready to serve? Was that the ready to serve charges for that period over that year or approximate year? The past few months.
Okay, see, maybe that's payment, which maybe that's payment. So that was what she gets their own Andre before that, $300,000 went through.
Right, so that was the period of, like January of 2020 to March of 2021, ready to serve fee.
Okay, so that's, because I have written down. Oh, you know, it's actually the amount, that before that one bill came out before that was $2.
And
I can't think of it, any other store, I'm sorry.
Almost would have had to have been the minimum because there was no usage until the month of June, correct? So up until that point, it would have been the minimum charge each month. Because and going back, my understanding is that Mrs. Gilliam was, the situation was explained to her 2 different occasions by Brandon, and both times she refused to have water turned off and elected to keep it on. So I think at the end of the day, it does go back to that, and this is an unfortunate situation. But if a property owner calls us and has a conversation and tells our staff that they want that water to remain on, then it's our job to do so, and to comply with their wishes. Now, on the other hand, if there's a huge usage of 500 plus their 300, I don't remember the exact amount of gallons, out of respect for that property owner, we would turn it off so that we don't continue to flood their basement or whatever other situations going on. But I think, they had at the end of the day, the option of having the water and the meter turned off and the meter full, they chose not to. And this is, again, a hard situation. I'm not saying that makes it any easier, but I do think that it's clear within the ordinance, and that's what we should be following. Otherwise, why have ordinances on the book? If we feel that this ordinance needs to be changed or amended, then I think we have the ability to do that and do something that would better serve our needs.
Mr. Engel, I appreciate your desire to upgrade and bring that house back online, but I struggle with a couple things. I'm not going to debate your recounting of the story, but first, the hiccup I see is this ordinance ties our hands. Second, we are all owners of the system and users, and this is an enterprise fund. So by law, if you don't, or if this bill isn't paid for by you, it must be paid for by us. So the service is not free, even if you don't pay for it. The users end up absorbing that cost. And lastly, I know we failed to enforce our ordinances, but those were our generally accepted practices at the time. And we did, and we were in communication with the homeowner. So when the request was made to turn it off and it was denied by the homeowner until we enforced the ordinance post-COVID pandemic, I think there's failures on both sides, but ultimately, I don't think we can do anything about this. It doesn't seem like there's the will of the council to amend the ordinance, and I don't think we have the ability to offset any of these costs.
And I totally respect it and I appreciate that. And I'm saying again, it's not a debate. that this is not free service. The way I came up with even these numbers, let's just say, she said, turn it on, leave it on. Let's just say she did it again, and then say she did it again. According to your ordinance, February of 20, it should have been shut off at the street. And then 12 more times after, it should have been shut off at the street by us, by this department, by yes, we're a family-ish, we're all users of it.
Again, it goes back to my statement, the generally accepted practice at the time of this office was to allow people to set up payment plans, was to keep the water on and be in communication with the homeowner. I think we did that for goodwill. I think we did that for good reasons. Obviously, it didn't work out here. It backfired. But I would say, if you talk to all the other recipients of that extended courtesy, they'd be thankful for it. I think this is the one anomaly in the situation, which is causing us to actually strictly enforce the ordinance.
And it didn't mean to interrupt, but I understand that. And I want you to strictly enforce the ordinance 15 times. And I want you just said the conversation with the homeowner on April, or from March 20 until April this year, she received no water bill. Guess what she received in her mailbox today, dated July 16th? You want to see it? I'll bring it up. It's a moot point. She received a shut-off notice of the final bill of $6,354. If you wanted to find her, you could have found her. She did not know she had any other water bill at all because she never received a bill. It was all forwarded to her box here and then forwarded again to her new house. So again, it's, dare I say, gross negligence on all of our parts. I'm not trying to tell you to break the law. I believe, and I think your counsel, again, he's not the law, he is the counsel. I believe you can do something about this without breaking your ordinance. It says free service. This is not free. The water, and I'm offering to pay for the water service. There was nothing gone into the sewer. Water service. Pay for that, pay for this month, even if you adjust it. But there was no service rendered. But I personally am willing to cover this. It's not them. Because I want, and I believe this. You might not believe, I believe this, that Blissfield's best days are yet to come. And I'm willing to invest here. But doing something like that, stating the fact, we violated our own ordinance, but that's okay, because this is what we're gonna do. Because it's not that you're afraid, you've been told you can't, but you can.
So put into words what you're asking us to propose.
I'm asking you to propose that I write you a check or in the equivalent of what you've already got on the taxes, because those will never come back. Those are on the taxes again. You'll get the money for that. I'm proposing $2,282.73 for payment for the water and the months of service that was on before, quote unquote, it should have been shut off at the street. And again, if it shut off at the street, there'd have been zero water going through it, and then this whole thing would have been even half of that. Because it would have just been a monthly service until she became aware of it at this point, when the title work was run. So I'm saying $2,282.73.
How much was it that went on the tax roll?
$755.44.
Where do we come up with that arbitrary number?
I heard the audience, I'm already allowed to go after anything that's 6 months past due, so I can only go whatever the balance was after October 31st, 2020.
Okay.
That's where that number came from. I also want to point out, the person that a bill is mailed and her bills will probably come back maybe 30 times and I forward them to whatever the address was on the postcard and then those sticker from the post office. I just sent those bills back. And there's also fine print on the back of those bills that says variation of received bill does not waive. It balance.
Bill, do you have anything to say about this?
I didn't catch the gentleman's name that has been speaking on behalf of, what is it, Mrs. Gilroy? Is that right?
It's Mr. Ed Engel.
Okay, Mr. Engel. I'd be interested to know what authority you would rely on to suggest to the village. I don't want to argue with you, Mr. Engel, but what authority, you keep saying that the village council has the authority to violate their own ordinance. What authority do you rely on for that?
With all respect, sir, I'm not arguing, but I do implore and I'm begging you to look at the ordinance and it says no free service. This is not free. There is a payment willing to be made for water that went somewhere through that meter because it's been tested and the months prior to. I'm putting that out. It's not arbitrary. And I'm saying this council can look at that and say, we are not given free service. We're looking at this whole thing and saying, yes, we were somewhat to blame-ish, and we are negotiating a settlement. You negotiated for a plant to be built. You negotiated for this. You put bids out. You have the authority to do that. This is not breaking an ordinance. We're not going into, yeah, we broke the ordinance 15 times, but that's okay. That you're not breaking it. I'm saying benefit of the doubt. I'm saying, let's just say she didn't know the 12 steps to get the meter, that whatever. It's on, now it is off, and here's where we are today.
So by that logic, would the village council, or could the village council be called upon to negotiate every citizen's water bill?
This is not setting precedent in the fact that this is not like every other house.
How is it unlike every other house?
This is a very, very unique individual. This house burnt in November 19th. 0 people are living in this house. It is non-occupied. There's nobody there, and everybody knows there's nobody there.
And I've heard it said, maybe I misunderstood, that Miss Gilliam was asked repeatedly if she wanted to have the water at that property turned off, and she refused. Well, how do I reconcile that?
November of 2019, she asked it to be left on. December 10th, she asked it to be shut off. March,
There's no
she asked it
record
to
of
be
that
shut
that
off.
I
She did ask it to be shut off. She misunderstood the process. That's a moot point. However, let's just say,
It's not a.
let's just say that's the truth.
Mr. Engel, it's not a moot point. It's directly on point.
Okay, on point then, let's just concur that that was the truth, 100%. And 2 months after her making her final payment, the village should have shut it off at the street
Why?
because it was 2 months delinquent. And in your own ordinance, it says once it's 1 month past, you're supposed to get it shut off, right? Is that correct? Now, I understand COVID, but you looked at that.
You're correct.
Pardon me?
Assuming that you're correct. I don't know why the water wasn't shut off, excuse me, as per the requirements of the ordinance. Do we have an explanation for that?
I think because at that point, we were still offering people payment plans. It wasn't until the last council meeting that we decided that we were no longer offering that payment plan, because that also violated our ordinance.
Okay, that's it. Other than this, and it's one of the so that's minimum direct amount is $250, so she can get paid shut up notice at the time. But you put you in a minimum delinquent balance.
What was that? Sorry, couldn't hear you.
I was asking what the dates that we did not do shut-offs were, and he said it started March
March 2020.
of 2020 through March of 2021. No one, to my knowledge, no one was shut off. No, we did shut off in November of, no, we didn't, okay, then no.
Bill, it was our long-standing practice to not shut off the water and work with the homeowner to bring the balance current on their account.
And I lack context in all of this, and I apologize for that. The language of the ordinance is kind of what I am saddled with. If the village has a policy or has a custom or what have you of making exceptions under extraordinary circumstances, and Mr. Engel seems to suggest that these are extraordinary circumstances, then I think it's at the discretion of the village council whether they're gonna make that exception available to Ms. Gilliam. But I'm not gonna suggest to you that the language of the ordinance is invalid or that it shouldn't be followed. There are probably things that I'm not aware of in the context of this case. It was my impression that Ms. Gilliam was offered the opportunity to shut off the water and she refused. I'm now told that it's the policy of the village to shut water off after it's 2 months delinquent. And on top of that, that the village is in the habit of working with people with delinquent utility bills and offering the opportunity to make installment payments, for lack of a better word. If that's your custom and practice, then as Mr. Engel says, perhaps you have a mechanism for assisting Ms. Gilliam. If it's not, then, and there's no language in your ordinance to that effect. If it's not your custom and practice, then your ordinance doesn't permit it. That's as much as I can say with any kind of confidence.
Thank you.
I guess my question would be, was the building condemned at that point? It was inhabitable, it was unlivable. Did we formally condemn the building? Then the question becomes, do we as the village disconnect water, much like a utility company, the electric company, the gas is shut off to an inhabitable, a condemned structure? You know, what is that?
I can actually answer that question. I had the same one, so I talked to Holly last, or I don't remember now, but I did talk to Holly. It was never officially condemned. If we do tag a building or property as being uninhabitable, condemning, whatever we want to call it, we would have the water meter pulled as well as the electric service and gas to that house. And I did confirm that with Holly.
Go ahead.
November 2019 house fire. November 29. 2 days later, I talked to Todd Rose. You guys know who him? He said, nobody to live in their house till you pull permits and do all repairs. He did not put a sticker on the house because I know him personally. I reached out to him, asked him, can we do this? He said, yes, it can. There's some non-conforming situations. If you did it this way, you're gonna have to follow this ordinance. If you're gonna do it this way, you have to file IPC, IRC, and he was citing the code to me. And we did that. We had full conversation. This is not a violation of any ordinance and any conversation to work with somebody about a bill from April till April this year, not one conversation, even though I understand, hey, just because you don't get a bill doesn't mean you're not liable for it. Somebody around here, you all said you know Todd Roach. Hey, let's call Todd Roach. Let's call the police department. Do you know anything about this house? Let's walk down here to the post office. Hey, is there any mail going to, okay, does that sound just reasonable? I'm not saying you had to do it. I'm not saying it's in your ordinance. I'm just saying Todd Roach knew 3 days after this fire, I was involved. Somebody could have called Todd and said, yeah, there's a contractor on that job. Here's his phone number. Somebody could have notified me, could have let you in, could have done whatever we had to do. I was never notified. They were never notified. And as the last meeting, I said that again, and miracles of miracles. She gets a shut-off notice in her mailbox, which is now closed when I hear at the post office, dated July 16th of this year. This is the first correspondence of working a deal, of working out a payment plan, of conversation. July 16th this year. I'm submitting, this is not free service. I personally am willing to guarantee you this. You come to some common ground, and I believe in your own ordinance. You're not violating it. You're not giving free service. You're not making a precedent. This is extremely, dare I say, extraordinary, unique in that this is a burnt building, conversation with the building department from this village. Nobody can live in that house till you get a CO. You have to repair. And here's the criteria of repair. If you tear it down, you cannot rebuild in the same spot. It's non-conforming. If you rebuild the same thing under IPC, you're allowed to rebuild, but you've got to do some upgrades. Went through all of that.
So that leads into my question then. Did we violate our own ordinance by shutting off? Yes, tangenting off from the garbage that the state made us do of keeping water services on. Yes, I get it. Again, I have a huge issue with that, and I had a huge issue with that. But did we violate it by not shutting the water off at that second month when it should have been shut off for failure to payment, to be paid? So I guess my question, Phil, do we charge, can we pull something off to where we charge them for that 354,000 gallons and negate the ready to serve fees? Because technically that was an inhabitable house. It should have been shut off. We should have followed our own ordinance, and at that second month, quote, February or March of 2020, shut it off then. So looking at the total bill, that's why I questioned the $1,200, whatever. If we subtract from the grand total, whatever it went, 6,000 some, subtract the $1,200, which is the ready to serve fees, leaving $4,359.92. That's paying for the 354,000 gallons, correct?
You're asking me?
Well, I guess I'm asking you and Brandon technically. The big jump from $1,200 to 6,000 or whatever it is, was for that last, all that paid for the 354,000 gallons and the ready to serve or whatever. What if he paid for that and we negated the ready to serve from the period of, I'm just throwing it out there, it's just, this is what I'm trying to come up with a deal. I don't want to set precedents on making deals. Absolutely, we don't want to do that. But had we not been in the, had we not had to follow the state's ordinance that's again dug us into a deep hole financially with this enterprise fund, would that have been shut off? And the answer probably is yes, it would have been shut off.
The only comment I'm gonna make is, I did ask her if she wanted to have it shut off, and the little girl, and she said, no. And she told me, yes, she wanted that, you would have been at the Unity notebook, and I went to the Unity notebook, there's no history whatsoever of her request to shut off. So, I'm just stand by my word that I did give her that option, and she turned it down, so, it's enough. So you guys, you're gonna have to make that decision of what you wanna do.
And I get that too, but if I didn't pay my water bill for 2 months and you asked if I wanted to shut off, and I'd say, no, I don't want to shut off, heck, no, I don't. We'd still shut it off because I didn't pay it technically, right? And it should have been shut off. So we violated our policy by not shutting it off. We should have shut it off.
If I can piggyback on that, it sounds like what do we do? What's best for the village? What's best for the consumers of the water? What's best for the house on Pearl Street? What's the absolute best solution here? And are you saying, and I think I'm in agreement with, if the water usage gets paid for, we negate the rest?
Yes, I want to clarify that she came in and paid that water bill in December or whatever, and she was current to that. Correct, that 200 some that you were talking about?
That was March of 20, I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah, no, that's
That was
fine.
March 10th of 2020, and that made it balance of zero.
Did she pay that or did she just walk away and say,
No, she
well, I'm
paid.
not gonna pay, she did pay that?
I think that it is December, she was because I.
She made 2 payments. One was December the 10th, and that brought her bill to zero. And she didn't pay January, and February should have been shut off, wasn't. She got a bill, she came in and paid it off because she thought it was just leave something, whatever. She asked in December, please shut it off. She didn't get all the steps in December 10th and March 10th, both times. Again, I use the term it's a moot point because it's on and we're standing here talking about it. So it didn't get shut off, but now she's got zero balance. April, May, now it's only 1 month you're supposed to shut it off. Now I'm just saying I'm trying to, what's best for the village? Yes, I'm saying yes. I have no idea where 360,000 gallons of water went because they didn't go in the sewer. But let's just say they went in that ground someplace. I don't know, is the house even gonna stand? I don't know, I gotta do some engineering on it. But I'm willing to pay for that, yes.
You're saying there's no water damage in the basement?
There's no water damage. Yeah, this is so neat. I got pictures here if you'd like to see them. There are 2x4s on the floor because he had a rack in the basement. On the very bottom edge, less than a quarter inch, there's moisture. And guess what that's from? The rainwater seeping through the walls. There are cardboard boxes in that basement that are not wet. There's clothes.
Exactly, so I'm assuming that water went right back into the sewer.
I
It had to have been tied in
It
somehow.
had to go somewhere, I guess, but the only thing that's in there is the sump pump. And the only reason that would work is if there's power. The night of the fire, gas is shut off, electric meter's gone.
But there's no way to prove
So-
when the plumbing came out. We can't prove that. We have.
I get that, and that's why I'm saying, okay, let me pay for the water service.
And then that's what I'm saying. The 354,000 gallons, I'm sorry, it went somewhere.
It went somewhere, I agree, let me pay for it, let me pay, the water service is $2,156.67.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Two questions. I'm told, or I'm led to believe that this house caught fire. Is that correct?
Yes.
And was the house deemed, after that fire, was the house deemed uninhabitable? Was it characterized as a total loss?
It was rebuildable, but uninhabitable. According to Todd Rhodes, he saw it or he drove by it. I communicated that with him too.
Who's
Higher-
Mr. Rhodes?
Todd Rhodes is your building inspector, pardon me?
Who's Mr. Rhodes?
Todd Rhodes is the village building inspector.
Okay.
They
Was
certified, he did it.
excuse me, was the property insured?
It was underinsured, yes. That was part of their problem why they couldn't rebuild.
Was it declared a total loss by the insurer?
I don't know what their exact language is, but they paid out the total on the policy for the dwelling. They didn't pay other things.
Okay, that helps me with a couple of things, but perhaps more importantly, this is Mr. Engel that I'm talking to?
Yes, sir.
Of the, and Brandon, maybe you can help us understand. Of the $6,354.26, which is what the village claims is due, how much of that is administrative fee and how much of that is actual water used?
I did do the math, and I think I'm correct, but it would be $2156.67 would have been the monthly fee. And the usage was $4,197.59.
Well, if the actual usage, which is what we're most concerned about, is $4,197.59, and Mr. Engel's theory is that a payment for the water usage avoids the no free service language of the ordinance, then the village council could either accept payment for the actual water used, or, as Mr. Engel suggests, you could accept payment for the minimum service fees. It's Mr. Engel, I think Mr. Engel makes a point when he says, if some sum of money is paid, then it's not free service. The question then becomes for village council whether they're going to charge for the water or for the service. Mr. Engel would encourage you to charge for the service. I would suggest that a viable alternative would be to charge for the water.
What was that figure you came up with, Mike?
Well, subtracting the 6160.20, I don't know if it's not even accurate now, it's a little bit higher. Subtracting the 1247.96, that brought it up to $4,359.92. So that technically is what I'm assuming would be for the actual water usage.
And Danielle, you calculated the 4197.59.
Yeah, and I calculated that based on the balance as of July 8th, which is $63,054.26.
6,300.
Yeah, $6,354.26. And then I deducted that base fee, and that's when I got the $4,197.59. Sorry, there are a lot of numbers there. If you need me to repeat, let me know.
Are there any in that 63,000 or 6,300? Are there any interest in? Is there any interest in penalties?
Yes. Every month is 10%, but every month you cannot make a payment, and then the interest is 1.5% every month as 30 days past due.
Well, perhaps that's a consideration that the council could make in determining what an acceptable settlement would be. There's no reason for us to kick each other in the shins over this. We have to, the council, I think, has a discretion to decide whether no free service means that the minimum fees won't be waived, and then decide how much they're going to charge per gallon for water. I don't like the idea, but in the interest of reaching some accommodation, that's an equation that you might employ.
What is our rate per gallon of water?
$49.18 for the finance share, and then maybe
How much per gallon?
95 per 1,000 gallons. And then sewer is $6 per 1,000 gallons.
Thank you.
As much as it pains me to go against our ordinance, but I do see this as a viable negotiation on behalf of the village, the water users and yourself. I will propose to the village council, I will propose a motion that we settle the balance of this account not to be reopened by the current account holder for the amount of $4,197.59 to cover the water usage and to waive all of the fees associated with the account during its activity post-fire.
I have a second.
I'll second that.
Any other questions?
Go ahead.
May I,
Yeah, go ahead.
what was that number again, sir?
4197.59.
Pay that number less what's already into the taxes, because you're not gonna get that, I mean, but that whole number included. So a check would need to be 4197.59 minus 755.44. It's 3,442.15, but you still come up with 4197.59. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is, yes, that is correct. So the 755.44 is already into the tax rolls.
Correct.
Wasn't, but that was on back, the $700 figure was on the back.
Well, which one?
It's still reflected in this total bill. The 6,300 is still in there, but it's now, if this house closed and those were paid and this was paid in full, you actually charge twice.
Actually, that number is not in there because I do not apply that until I receive the payment from the taxes. So the reason why I say that is there's a possibility that these properties can end up on tax sale and they sell for less than what they're worth. You will not get that money. Why wait until I get the money from the property taxes before I apply it to the account? So that number is not reflected in this, that's 755. I have not received payment yet.
What does the 755 represent? Is it water usage plus the ready to serve fees?
It is, the balance is at December 31st, 2020, which is water, sewer, penalty, and interest.
Do we know how much water usage there was?
There's no water usage at all, it's here that one month is questioning.
And I'm just saying,
Hey,
go ahead, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I like to take a shot.
I do understand what Mr. Engel is saying, and I would agree, if you guys are looking to just charge for the usage, we would deduct the $755.44, correct? Was that amount? For that way the total payment would be. Now, the flip side to that, just to make you guys aware, is we still have to collect those taxes, which we have not yet. So that would still show an outstanding balance on the 314 Pearl Street for the utility bill of the $755.44 until that payment is made.
And that payment was, the 755.44 is for services rendered prior to December 31st, 2021. So that's not in violation of our ordinances, is that correct? That would be the 2-month period post-fire, we're still able to charge. And we were in communication with the homeowner at that point, and she requested us not to turn the water off. And I know there's a
No.
differing of opinion
No,
there, but
I agree.
that's what I'm saying,
I'm just
so.
saying, so it's,
So the 1 month where we have the 354,000 gallons, how much was that?
That's the 4197.59. However,
So I stand behind that number.
and I agree with you, but that number will be paid in full if we come to this agreement. The 4197 means the 3442.15 plus 755, you will receive that when that house closes. That has to be paid by the title company. You will receive that money. You won't have to run after it. It will be there. You will be paid the 4197.59 if we come to an agreement. You will be paid. It's not 4197.59 plus 755.44. That, I'm just looking at that. If we can come to an agreement and say, okay, 4197.59, pay that, all right. The 755.44 is under tax rolls. You can't get it back. I can't get it, and God can't get it back. But you'll get it back when the house closes. Does that make sense to anybody?
And that would justify the lien on the property, correct?
I agree with him that would go towards the usage. I just want to make sure you guys are aware that it won't be collected until that bill is paid.
But,
So,
okay, so the 4197.59 is a direct reflection of that 354,200 gallons, correct?
Yes.
And the 755.44 was for
The taxes.
No, it's for November and
December of 2020.
Yes.
That had
20, when was the fire?
November
2019.
That's what.
29th of 19.
I'm just gonna keep cutting you off right now because you keep saying December. Her account was paid off in early 2020. It was not paid off in December. It was early 2020. So I want to clear that thing with you because I put that at the beginning of my memo. Sometime in early 2020, I believe it was March. Because I think it could be February, which made that payment. It wasn't December when I said to her, you have to have that unit, it's early 2020. She waited a couple of months after the value to bring it up to me.
Okay, so then that validates Mr. Ingles' point. So the 34. So the 4197.
3442.15.
215, do you concur with that
Yes.
number?
Do you want to amend your motion
I
then?
will amend my motion. Can I just amend the amount?
Yes, just amend it.
Go ahead.
I am so very sorry.
It's all right.
It's approved and I'm a man of my word. Put $10 on it for testing that meter.
All right, I will amend my amount from the 4197.59 to the 3442.15. I'm sorry.
3452 at $10.
Oh, I was gonna do that separately.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, but thank you. I amend my amount from 4197.59, $4,197.59 to 3442.15, $3,442.15, plus a $10 fee for
Heater testing,
meter testing.
which I never ordered, but I'll pay for it because I gave you my word.
All right, so I need a second on that.
Second.
Okay. I really would like to resolve this, so
Same.
if there are any other questions,
Well, we are guaranteed to sell their 755, what you're saying. Correct.
unless the taxes are never paid and it would go to a tax sale. But if the taxes are paid and the home sells, yes.
so you're good then, Mike? All right, call the roll, Lisa. Wait, hold on.
I would just like to add, and I know it's this late,
Yeah,
I personally am taking care of this. I'm in agreement with this. Unbeknownst to them, they told me other. I will take care of this. I'm giving you my word. Looking you straight in the eye. I'll pay the extra. You'll have this on a piece of paper, a receipt tomorrow morning when you open it. I'll be standing outside with coffee and donuts and I will pay this bill. And then I will close on this house within a week and you'll be paid the other. I give you my word.
If you want to pay it, I do think it's a good idea, so that I can get like. There's still one more bill. Am I waiving that bill or am I charging that bill?
This most recent month,
The one that's supposed to be that's gonna go out August 1st.
If he's paying, no, this way, but he's gonna pay it.
I can help out right now, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah,
Shut it up, okay,
yeah,
alright.
all right.
because they pulled the meter how long ago? They pulled, when did they pull the
Last
meter?
month, on the 12th of
So,
July.
yeah, so there should,
Yeah, I'm just, if I'm gonna get to shut her up, get that, she's gonna know, I do not want to keep doing this assessment on that, because it does not look good to the auditors.
Right.
I'm gonna do one health assessment, okay, sounds good?
All right, go ahead, call this roll, what's going on.
Mike,
yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Barb, yes, James,
Yes.
Bob.
Yes, motion carried. Thank you, Mr. Engel.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Cashier's check certified fund is my checkbook.
You can talk to Brandon or Lisa tomorrow.
Need cashier's check, certified funds, cash, or is my check gonna be all right?
Cashier's check,
Oh,
certified.
that's fine.
Or a personal check?
You can run shop.
And then, I'll set the thing in motion and the house will close within, I think within the week.
Fantastic.
All right,
Thank you,
sounds
sir.
good. Yep.
What kind of donuts you guys like? I guess-
All right.
I guess I get all
Yeah, we will be here, but that- Thanks, thank you.
Tomorrow morning,
All right,
give you a bill. I'll give you.
Best thing for everyone.
I know, okay. Next action item is adoption of financial crimes policy pursuant to financial exploitation. Right. All right, we're good. Thanks, Brandon. That's pretty cool. Next action item, adoption of the financial crimes policy pursuant to the Financial Exploitation Prevention Act 344 of 2020.
Move council adopt financial crimes investigation policy dated July 2021 has been submitted by the chief of police.
Moved and supported, recommend the village adopt the financial crimes investigation policy dated July 2021. That has been submitted by the chief of police. Any questions? If not, call the roll, Laura. Lisa? Sorry.
James,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes,
Jerry,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes, motion carried. Next action item is ag tag solid waste collection and disposal services agreement. You wanna talk about that?
Yes, Honorable President and Council. We currently have a limited supply of bag tags, and we do not have a current agreement with, it used to be Countryside, who's been bought out by Stevens now. So we are asking you guys to renew this. We have attached the draft or the agreement for you guys, which has been reviewed by legal as well. I did include the changes we're going to make just so that it was easier for you guys to see those, but most of them are pretty minor. Stevens has reviewed those changes and are good with them. This is a 5-year contract. They are proposing an increase this year from 95 cents per tag to $1.75. And then an increase each year for the next 5 years, ending at $2.75 per tag. I did inquire if we elected not to provide this service as a local municipality, if citizens would still be able to do it through Stevens directly, and found out that they do not do this service unless it's through a municipality. And the reason I bring that up is we do have a lot of our residents that use this service that don't need the full quarterly service, have a reduced number of bags, or they travel for the winter season, so they don't want to pay for it year round. So I do feel that this is a valuable service to our residents to continue. That being said, I also want to point out, and this would be completely up to council, but just want to make you aware that we do spend a lot of employee time, about 2.5 hours every week. Actually, they come in large rolls, packaging goes up into groups of 10, and then that's just the time to package them, not the time to sell. So I would like to propose that you guys also consider just charging 50 cents per 10 for the village. So it would be $17.50 to cover our cost with Stevens. I'm proposing we charge $18. I don't think it should be anything crazy, just enough to help offset the cost of employee time that they're spending with this service. But if you guys have any questions, I will try to answer them the best that I can.
Well, here's my hatred of monopolies, and that are they the only capable service around here that will provide services to us?
That is my understanding that there is one other company, and I am drawing a blank on their name, I apologize, but they do not do bag tag service.
They do the 90-gallon totes, just like Stevens.
I'm not positive on what their actual service, if you are to sign up with them, is.
Raising the rates 3 times what they are now over 5 years, to me, is ridiculous. I think it's unacceptable. I think it's gonna tick off a lot of citizens. I think we need to bid it out or look for another service. To me, this is above and beyond inflation, whatever. I mean, 3 times the amount of what we're paying now over a 5-year period. To me, it's unacceptable. I think we should look for other sources. Unfortunately,
Excuse me,
we should have jumped on this a long time ago.
I'm here with Stevens Disposal and
What's your name?
Kevin Shipman.
Okay.
If it'll help you at all, the reason Countryside Disposal is no longer in business is that they failed to increase their rates to keep up with the demand of cost and expense and operating. We acquired them in May, and basically it was, we either acquired them or they were going out of business. We kept 3 trucks until we can get 3 trucks to replace those, and they're band-aided together to keep them going, but they basically just did not keep up with. If you check into other communities, the normal cost of just trash service is somewhere in the neighborhood between $5 and $6 for a standard 3-can limit, 3-bag limit. If you calculate that out, it's between $2 and $2.50 per bag. We realize it's a shock, but obviously we're in business to stay in business. We're not in business to do what Countryside did. And therefore, that's where we came up with that $1.75 number. We're not turning a profit. We're not repairing our trucks and paying our employees their wage the first year. It's going to take us to year 3 before we're at that point. But that's basically where we're at. We're not gouging or taking advantage of. We're just getting your service to where it should have been all along, and it wouldn't have been a sticker shock for you. Unfortunately, you had a really great deal with Countryside. We do have some other communities that we offer bag tag. It's not a real popular thing. Most places either subscribe and pay for the service, or they open it up to open market, where you just bill the residents individually. Currently, surrounding area, that would be somewhere in the neighborhood of $60 a quarter for trash service with the cart. So just kind of give you some variables on where that's at. Obviously you should do your due diligence and check, but I think we currently are the only provider that services in the Blissfield area. We purchased Republic Services used to, but they approached us and had us purchase their customer base because they wanted out of the area too. So we did that about a year ago. So I'm not aware that there's any other providers, and not that that's a good thing, but, for you anyway, but that's as far as my knowledge. And I'm open to any questions you have in regards to the services as well. If it's-
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
What happens if we don't make a motion? We have lots of coverage.
Yes, we are out of contract currently, so the tags that we have remaining on hand would be all that we would have left to sell. We are currently only selling 1 pack to customers at a time right now to try to stretch those until tonight's decision, so I know we're low, I don't know exactly how much, I apologize.
That's okay. Thank you.
I think we have about 1,100 tanks now. So that's just gonna it's out. Wow.
And those tags are being sold at the 95 cents, so $9.50 for 10, since that is the price we purchased those at. And just council has a couple options. I mean, you have the option to agree to this agreement and enter into it. You have the option to direct staff to look at other options and bring it back to you. And then the final choice would be that we elect to no longer provide the bag tag service for our residents.
If we did that, then everybody would be billed separately.
If we elect not to do the bag tag service, they would need to find their own trash hauling service and enter into whatever the requirement would be for them to have that.
And I don't think our residents would like that either, Mike.
Well, what if do we have a competition clause or whatever in their contract to where, say we start seeking out other entities that possibly could give us a better rate bag tag? Is there an issue with that?
We do not. It would be for 5 years. The only way that this 5-year agreement would terminate is if there was failure on either party's side. They would have to notify either or within 30 days. And then Stevens did agree to put a clause that if for some reason we do not have funding appropriated to actually purchase the bags, that we could terminate then, but that would be an unlikely scenario since we do charge to be paid back for those.
So we have the opportunity, if we sign this, to go out and continue seeking better solutions, if there are out there.
We would be locked into this for a 5-year term.
Not that this is an answer, but all services I've seen are starting to increase rates. Lost revenue, lost wealth creation during COVID, they've got to make it up. It just seems like the cost of everything is going up.
And this was, when I came on board, was one of the first things that was handed to me. And I'm not, obviously wasn't paying the 95 cents, but I agree it's a huge jump. However, how I look at this is that if I were producing less trash and I only had a bag a week, this service, even at $1.75 or $2.75, would be cheaper for me than actually paying the $60+ per quarter for the 3-bag minimum when I know I'm never going to have the 3 bags. Now, I myself have 3 kids, so the 3-bag minimum would be the better route to go, but for those people that don't, it does make sense. This is a better option. And then again, I go back to, I believe that we have some residents here that will go to Arizona or Florida or somewhere warmer in the winter. So they're not having to enter into this contract for quarterly service, cancel it, restart it, and so on. They can just come in and purchase those bag tags as needed. So I do see the value in providing this service to our residents. I agree, this is a huge increase to them. Staff has been doing a really good job of giving people a heads up that there is the potential if we renew this, there'll be an increase, so hopefully they don't feel blindsided. And if council does choose to enter into this agreement, I'll work with Lisa too to get some information posted on our Facebook page and to the residents, giving them a heads up as well.
How about Allied Services? I've seen their trucks in Blissfield.
Allied is Republic, and that's commercial.
No, that's just commercial.
So let's,
Again, that's my question. Can we bring in other, can we research other?
If you want to do that, Mike, yes, we absolutely can. My recommendation, if that's the route that you want to go, is that we table this item pending staff reviewing other options. And we don't take any action on this contract if that's the route.
Would we have enough tags to get us through 2 weeks?
I think we had like 100.
No.
So, and like 18 years and I was selling one per household. So,
I just want to verify, we don't have a competition clause, so we can sign this tonight, but if they charge $2 a bag, and we come back and find somebody that'll do $1.50 a bag, we let the residents decide, do you want these tags, do you want these tags, correct?
Oh, so you mean to purchase both?
Yes.
I
I
apologize,
just
I
don't, I don't,
misunderstood
yeah, I don't, that's my
that.
competition, my
Okay,
question.
yes, I
Can we research
apologize.
better?
Yes,
solution?
I believe we could do that.
Okay.
Sorry about
No,
that.
that's okay. Well, that would be my recommendation, but maybe there's nobody out there, but I get everything costs more, but 3 times more, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, not the answer, but just food for thought.
so do you want us to table this then? We don't have that many trash bag tags left. I don't know how long it would take to,
Well, we can assign an agreement, but I just, again, cover my basis. If we find somebody else better and we have 2 services, we'll let the residents decide. If they want to pay for the cheaper service or the more expensive service, however it works out.
oh,
We
yeah, I didn't, okay,
we provide 5 different.
yeah, I didn't understand what you're talking, okay, cool, yeah.
And so per the pricing schedule, year one, $1.75, and then it just increases a quarter every year. So $2, $2.25, $2.50, and then in year 5, $2.75.
Correct.
Okay.
All right, then we need a motion.
So I move to approve the bag tag solid waste collection and disposal services agreement and authorize President Valdez to sign the agreement on behalf of the governing body. Do we want the 50-cent increase in the ordinance, in the motion?
Danielle, do you want that? We didn't talk about that.
You did not really know. That was simply a recommendation. It would be council's pleasure. I, again, mostly wanted to make you aware that there is a lot of employee time that goes into it.
So you guys get the tags in a roll and then have to cut them down to into packs of 10. How long does that take you?
Usually I do it every Monday to get rid and that is great. That's how much is gonna have to have hours?
When we timed, it was about 2.5 hours.
And you said $3, right?
I don't
I mean,
remember.
no, it's $2, it's gonna shoot us.
Okay.
Yes, so we just shoot us.
And that does not include the time it actually selling them and taking them in and things like that. I didn't, that is such a variable that I couldn't give you an accurate amount of time.
It's whoever's at the counter at the time.
Right, and how many we sell that day or week, so.
Yeah, we also have to pay for like materials and do everything else and everything, so.
Because up till now, the village was basically doing the work for Countryside and now Stevens.
Correct.
Of selling them, bundling them and everything. Doesn't make much sense.
Doesn't make much sense, or it makes sense to,
It makes sense to add the 50
Yeah.
cents on. I mean, at least we can recoup something for our time. It doesn't make much sense that we're doing work for another entity.
Right,
Let's make it-
all right. So do you want to add that 50 cents in there?
Yes.
I hate to pass it along to the consumer, but what else do you do?
We become more garbage savvy.
Okay.
Three less waste. So where was I? Including the kind of governing body, and to add an additional 50 cents per 10
Yes.
to be collected at the time of sale.
I'll support that.
Moved and supported to approve Tech solid waste collection disposal services agreement, authorize President Valdez sign the agreement with PAF governing body and 50 cents per pack of 10. Any other questions? Not call roll, Lisa.
Mike,
No.
James,
Yes.
Gary,
No,
Barb,
Yes,
Bob,
Yes. Motion carried. Next action item is approve the barbecue at the barn sponsorship.
Honorable President and Council, it is that time of year for the barbecue at the barn. I believe it used to be called Farm to Table. And historically, we have purchased the table to sponsor this. We are requesting that we do that again this year. It is $500 for a table of 8. That those seats would be offered to you as council members first, and then any additional seats remaining, we would reach out to staff and offer them to attend the event. So if this is approved, I would respectfully request that you guys let me know who would like to attend so that I have a head count on this.
Anyone interested? I wouldn't be able to. But I'm sure we could fill it.
Yeah, I'm sure we can fill it regardless. And we're supporting the museum as well, so I have a motion there.
I make a motion, we authorize the expense of $500 for the sponsorship of a table at barbecue at the barn fundraising for the event. Fundraising event for the American Farm Museum and Education Center.
Second.
Moved and seconded to authorize expense of $500 for sponsorship of the table at barbecue at the barn fundraising event for the American Farm Museum and Education Center. Any other comments or questions? If not, you call the roll, Lisa.
Barb,
Yes,
James,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Jerry,
yes,
Bob,
Yes, motion carried. Action item 10, resignation of electrical inspector Louis Dubai.
Make a motion, council accept, regret the resignation of Louis Dewey and express to village council's deepest appreciation to Lou for his years of dedicated service to the residents of the village.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded to accept the resignation of electrical inspector Louis Dubai. Any comments or questions? If not, you can call the roll, Lisa.
Jerry,
Yes,
Barb,
yes,
Mike,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes, motion carried.
We have to recruit for that then.
Yes, we will. And thankfully, he did give us some notice. September 15th will be his last day, so hopefully we can get somebody in before.
Great, the officers report, administrator.
Honorable President and Council, I did include a report. I've been still trying to get my feet under me on a lot of things, so I'm sure I'm missing some items. I've also been trying to send you guys some emails I would like to, instead of bombarding you, try to just do a weekly email moving forward, unless it's something that I feel needs attention immediately. When I did attend the wastewater treatment plant upgrade meeting last week, we did not hold one. We did not have one scheduled and our engineer was on vacation, but as I mentioned earlier, that project is moving forward. I will keep you guys updated as things progress. I additionally did make contact with Eagle to reach out to them about the project, just introduce myself and make sure that we had some open lines of communication. Brandon and I have been spending a lot of time together working on the budget, getting that going forward. We do have a very, very rough first draft of the budget completed at this point, with a really good picture of where we are currently financially, and what we can look at in the upcoming years, or year. We will have definitely some challenges moving forward, and we'll be talking about that in more detail as we progress. I would like to inquire about when you guys would like to set up some work sessions to start discussing budget. I will send an email out and give maybe some dates and things, or you guys can give me dates, whichever works easier. I have last couple weeks been meeting with I spent the first week working with Darwin and meeting with staff. Last week I was able to get out of the office and meet some of the residents. And I do have to just share with everybody that it's been great. Everybody has been incredibly welcoming, kind. I feel really bad because I only remember a handful of their names after meeting so many people, but we do have a truly wonderful community, so that's been really good. I did attend my first River Raisin Watershed Council meeting last week as well, which was interesting. I got to meet a lot of people and I just kind of took a back seat and watched what happened there. So I'm looking forward to being involved there. They were aware of some things going on in Blissfield and even got me up to speed on some things I was not aware of, so that was good. And then I did put a couple pending projects in upcoming meetings, but if you guys have any questions, let me know.
Anybody get a question? No. There is the water treatment plant monthly report. Any comments or questions on that? And then there's the wastewater treatment plant monthly report. And Parks and Recreation monthly report. PDA Main Street monthly report.
I'll just say I appreciate all of our department heads writing such detailed reports, and bullet pointing things. It makes it nice to have a well-written report.
Bill, have you received any of Jeff's files?
I think you're muted.
Yeah, I apologize. No, I haven't received any of Jeff's files, nor have I received any response from Jeff to my now 5 phone calls, I think.
It's not council to be aware of that. Danielle has reached out to.
I have reached out to him twice now and I've not been able to make contact.
I've reached
I
out.
feel kind of bad. I thought he and I were friends.
But we'll keep working on that. I know that's something that you had asked for, and obviously you've been trying to get a hold of them. Sorry
It's
about
important
that.
because there's things that we've been talking about for months, you know what I mean, that information needs to be passed on to Phil to continue the process of the projects that Jeff had been working on.
Exactly. So we'll continue on that. trying to get that done. We're going next to unfinished business.
We're missing in the officers, if you want to continue.
Oh, yeah, officer, sorry.
Please, Chief.
Brandon? Any report?
As you know, I need to put up my payment plan.
Oh. Do you, I totally spaced that, I apologize.
Okay.
So we had this week actually, I apologize, I was going to put it in my report and then completely spaced it. So we're no longer taking payments for the utility bills. However, we have different entities, and Brendan can tell you better who they are, that will actually help our residents, and they'll pay either a portion or the balance of the utility bill. So we are inquiring from you guys if that entity, and who is the organization that?
It's a shared THS. It's like everyone's community action agency. So they are against payments to us. I have not somebody said they're gonna make this payment and then they have done it. I got a 13-day hold on.
So what I wanted to ask council is if we can get those agencies to email us in letting us know that they will be paying that, could we postpone shutting that bill off because of the delay in that payment? And the reason I say email, that way we have written confirmation that the payment is being made, we just have that wait period. So I wanted to talk to you guys about that, or if we want to be, if we want to follow the same rule, it would have to be, they would have to reach out and get that payment submitted before the due date. And we just, I want to bring it up so that we can treat everybody the same in this matter.
I think if they would send an email saying they're guaranteed, I don't see why we shouldn't wait on that.
That's Community Action Agency and DHS,
Yes.
Community Action Center, Agency and CD.
So I'm gonna say this, they have paid something like $1,700, we have to use enough for these people, it's not much like a small payments, not a massive payments.
Those are two agencies that help residents with their water bill.
And tomorrow, the reason why we're picking it up is tomorrow is shut up. I put it up, you guys know, I have 61 households after shut ups. And that is an include the people that have pushed out to community action agency. I said, I would say they should probably have to switch right now. And I said, 189 business this month, totaling $88,387.35 in delinquents. Right now, there's 117 accounts that are past due for over with a minimum of $100. So that is $56,286, and everyone's not. So I want to let you guys know tomorrow shut off day. Yeah. 61 households are going to be shut off for not paying that unless they have a payment of the drop box from me at 9 o'clock in the morning. Because the guys are going out at 9:30.
And this is a unique, because when Brendan first came to me with this, I said, we have to follow the rules. I'm not super familiar with these agencies, so I do apologize for that. Because initially my thought was that they should be requesting it before they're to the status of being past due. However, I did want to bring it to you and get your opinions and thoughts on the matter as well. Sorry.
That's all right.
Brandon, how much response did you,
I have to tell you, I have to let you guys know.
Thanks.
These people can't get assistance from these places, which they get past due shut up bonus. So this will be the second month in a row that they get received. So that's why it's been delayed, because I have not been able to shut up. I do want to point that out. DHS will not help anybody unless they have shut up notice. So this will be the second month in over a year that they have received it. I do want to point that out. So everybody ask concern?
I was just gonna ask how much response you had after we made the announcement at the last meeting that we weren't gonna be offering a payment plan anymore. Did you have? Did you have?
It was quite strong feelings about that.
I'm sure I heard too. I heard from a couple people. So,
And there were a
but
lot
I'm
of-
asking response of people coming in to pay.
$1,700, $1,800, $900, no question. They're coming with the cash.
You sent out that many postcards and that's something.
So now 185 postcards. 61 people get shut out tomorrow.
Danielle, are you asking us to postpone for 14 days or postpone for a month?
So I would just be asking to postpone pending that payment. I would request that the only way we postponed is if that organization, DHS or the other, sends an email to Brandon or myself saying, we will pay X amount of dollars on so-and-so's bill. That way we know that those funds are guaranteed. I don't want to take just the verbal, oh yeah, we'll pay that. It would have to be a written indication that they'll be paying that.
Do either of you have direct contacts at either of those agencies?
I had emails right now asking me to do a question and that's what I can't make a discussion that was on leave.
And have you asked if they email those notices to us? Have you already asked DHS or Community Action if they would email those notices to us? And they were willing to do that?
I already got emails right now. Because I will not do anything unless I hit the road. In the past, Community Action did give us a phone call and say we're gonna pay this, and I won't set the phone call, it's gotta be a Rogan. I talked to Danielle about that, if you want it in Rogan,
Yeah.
say,
Yep, I agree.
As long as that doesn't give you that cloudy, you know, if this, then that, the unfairness between, that's what we're trying to solve with the residents. As long as you're saying, okay, that's as good as money, and we're guaranteed that, then I guess we can try it out for a month, but I know these are, reputable sources, and we will get that money, but again, I want to be consistent across the board, and that's I think what council's intention was.
Right.
yeah, I will say this, some of these people that learn that this, they would expect the process months ago to get the assistance and we would have money, but they want to say everything and they say shut up.
Right. Yep.
But I will tell you, the fact that we're not doing payment arrangements is really going on right now because we have got these balances not significantly so right now. Remember, a month and a half ago, we started out at 126,000. As of today, we're at 56,000. So I'm very proud of our hard work that we've done here, getting that down. I mean, seriously, hard, it's with the public, but it's worth it. It's worth it.
Other communities, do they do any payment plans?
Yes, so I did some research and just before I forget to, if you guys choose to work with these other organizations, what we could do is at the second meeting next month, give you a report and let you know how that's going, just as a follow-up. But I did actually, I was curious and wanted to be over prepared. So I reached out and talked to communities in Lenawee County specifically. Tecumseh currently, any late bill, they charge a 10% penalty for it, but they are not doing shutoffs. In fact, they even pre-COVID didn't do shutoffs. They're in the process of looking at their policy and changing that, but it's in the very first stages. But they are, it looks like wanting to maybe go somewhere a different route than what they're doing now. Adrian will do a payment plan application that you can fill out. However, they do not guarantee that your application will be approved. I do have an email out asking what the requirements or kind of approval status is. I've not heard back. The other thing that Adrian does is they will do a 1-week extension. However, they only do that one time. Addison will do a one-time extension only, one time being per calendar year is how they calculate that. Clinton will do they'll do a 15-day extension. You're only allowed one per year. They do have a clause that their city manager can do up to a 90-day for extreme situations. And then that was it. So it's kind of more extensions than payment plans, but it is out there.
I'd be more willing to accept this if there was some documented process involved.
You talking about the,
Yes,
oh, okay,
the 14-day essentially extension at this point. If you could document the process to receive the agreed payment via email, have that communicated inter-office, I think I'd be more willing to kind of allow the staff to work it out than just deciding through a conversation here.
That makes perfect sense. We could draft up a policy to be adopted by council and bring that back. With that being said, then I would say we'd have to follow. So anybody tomorrow, if they're not paid, would be shut off.
DHS has to run through the state and whatnot,
Yeah.
we will receive those funds.
It's
The only issue.
trial by fire.
Yeah. all right, then,
Well, so
I don't think we should,
we,
as much as I hate it, I don't think we should shut them off. That
Right.
their word is as good as money. Those are both reputable resources. I've dealt with them before
yes,
in my career and my job, so I understand that we will get that funding, but man, I just don't want to cloud up.
Yep.
You know, Brandon's discretion, and I don't want to let these other municipalities go based on the administrator. That's all, one matter opinion.
so can we run these concurrently then? Begin working on the process and again, start the process of receiving these funds for the accounts that have already reached out to these two organizations?
Yes, so I just want to clarify, we will bring a process or a policy process back to you guys. And in the meantime, tomorrow, if we've got written confirmation, we will not turn them off. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay,
That's
just to make sure. Okay.
all
I
right,
just want to think about, always talking about the people from the state and community action, right? So I just want to clarify that, so there's a worker, if somebody walks in this office and I'm getting guaranteed this payment is not, it's fully with the state. And she says, okay, I want to be clear about that,
Correct.
yeah,
because I can see somebody trying to send an email, that's what I'm gonna do.
Correct.
Yeah.
all right. Lisa, do you have anything?
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if anyone saw the Facebook post I did. Lenawee County Health Department did put out an advisory not to come in contact with the river water until further notice. And once that is lifted, I will repost that on Facebook and the website. But I did share the press release that they had. Just want to make sure everyone's aware of that.
What was the reason for that?
And Adrian, there was some spillage of some
Once again.
sewage, I believe.
Gotcha.
Again,
Okay.
where's the
Okay, build our wastewater treatment plant.
Sergeant Wagner, do you have anything?
No, sir.
All right. So we're moving on to finished business.
And I had a couple, but they've been answered now, but I do have one more. On the bag tag fund for, in here it says, in our packet, it's, okay, now I lost it. Where's that place? Right here.
It's,
Okay. It says this fund is currently operating at a loss of $3,430 as of June 30th, 2021. Why is that fund operating at a loss if we buy the tickets and then we resell the tickets?
Right.
This should be just for, one of the things is we have to be paper up front, that's part of it. And then something else, so that's why, and, I really don't get comfortable against the second part. So, because it's under the nature of the investigation.
Any other unfinished business?
Yeah, Jerry talked about that tree laying on the wire across the, around Jefferson.
that tree.
It's down there.
They were working on that.
It's down.
It
Is
was
it down?
removed
Did they take
Sunday.
care of
Did
Nice.
They came out Sunday and cut it?
Yeah.
Oh, they were gonna get back with me on the day.
Pasternak took it down.
What time were they there? I went by there Sunday morning.
Well, I walked every morning, and I
Right.
was there that morning,
Yeah,
and then they went by my house, Pasternak did. What time, it was after I walked, and then in the afternoon, it was done.
good.
The poles are still leaning, so I don't know who was responsible for the poles when they fall down.
Those are Verizon's poles, aren't they?
I think that's power.
But
No.
Frontier,
That's
Frontier.
those are phone wires.
Frontier.
Oh, is that what?
Uh-huh.
All right.
but there was somebody
Frontier,
there
And my
when
other
I came
thing
up here,
would be,
cut those big logs up.
my other
So,
thing would be, I think we should have a committee meeting coming up in August. I know we didn't have one this month, but again, Danielle's getting her feet wet. I think it would be good for us as a council to say, these are the things that we have focused on, Danielle, this is what, you know, that the small stuff, that generator thing, the footbridge issue, things like that, just the minor details that we want her to keep up on, to bring her up to speed on. These are the things that we've been discussing as a council. It's been on our back burner, it's been on the plate. And I think it would give her a little bit more direction than just the seven of us saying, okay, this is what we want you to focus on, Danielle, or these are things that have been happening that we need to continue addressing.
I would
think
agree
it would
with
be a good
that.
time to do
I
that.
would agree with that, but I also wanted you to see at that committee of the whole meeting, the various, boards that we have. I don't know, like the Parks and Rec, DDA, Planning Commission, if we could all come in here and see if we're all on the same page. What do you think about that, Danielle?
I can extend an invitation to them. If you guys would like to, what information would we, just to give them a heads up, should they be prepared to address, or is it more just an open dialogue?
More of an open dialogue to see where they're at and to see where, if we're like all on the same page.
If anything, at least the chairperson of those.
Yeah, not the whole boards, but if the boards are there, you could meet a lot more people, but that's okay. Any new business? Any announcements?
I just wanted to welcome Phil. Didn't get to talk to him yet, but thanks, Phil, for doing what you do.
And
Pleasure.
with that being said, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn. You can call the roll, Lisa.
Barb,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Jane,
Yes.
Bob.
Yes. Thank you.
Thanks for your help today, Phil.
Thanks, sir.